Trudeau establishment has helped resettle these elements who have been wanted by the Bharatiya government. These startling facts and astounding figures accessed by CNN News 18 show how Canada has been a haven for K sympathizers spreading venom against Bharat. Since 2013, Canada has provided refuge to anti-Bharat elements. Post-2019, there's been a clear spike in the number of K backers who sought refuge in Canada, even as they called Bharat an alleged nation of persecution. First up, breaking down the exclusive details shared with us by CNN News 18's Bhupinder Azad, an integral key member of our input desk. CNN News 18 posed big questions to the Canada immigration authorities and the refugee division, asking them about the presence of individuals being K suspects or K militants who sought asylum between January 2013 to November 2024, and the number of K militants who cited Bharat as a quote-unquote country of alleged persecution. These facts were shared by the Canadian government's Immigration and Refugee Division with CNN News 18's Bhupinder Azad. Now, in their response, the Canada government shared statistics from the 1st of January 2013 to October 31, 2024. The Immigration and Refugee Division confirmed a suspicion on how K backers sought asylum, refuge, protection, alleging Bharat as the country of alleged persecution. Sample this. In 2013, 38 K extremists of 83 terror sympathizers sought asylum in Canada. In 2014, that number went up to 40 out of 70 terror sympathizers who sought asylum. In 2015, 47 Sikh militants or K backers out of 107 terror sympathizers sought asylum. In 2016, that number goes up to 54 out of 78. In 2017, 64. So the number goes up again. 64 backers out of 94 sympathizers seeking asylum. They were Sikh militants or Khalistani terrorists. In 2018, that number goes up to 68 out of 109. Now here's the jump that happens post 2019-2020. 2019, that number comes down to 35 out of 66 terror sympathizers who sought asylum. In 2020, that number is 28 out of 42. Now, the record shows less than 100 asylum requests made per year between 2013 and 2020. But there's a significant spike post-2020. In 2019, when the Trudeau government became a minority, it was K-backer Jagmeet Singh's NDP whose support saved the day for the Canadian Prime Minister. Thereafter, in 2021, that number goes up to 144 of these K-backers. It rose to 812 in 2022. And in 2023, that number ballooned further and remained in that high numbers as 620. The number of claims finalized by the Refugee Protection Division went up by over a massive percentage in the last 3 years. Now, have a look at this, and we've got the documented proof. It's a comprehensive mail trail, ladies and gentlemen, and to our viewers, that I would say started from early December onwards. And we have all the mail trail, and it was Bhupinder Azad who's been consistently pursuing. Now look at the table that's been shared. This is the number. They have redacted some numbers in 2016 and 2020 of the overall number of terror sympathizers or questionable elements. But look at the Sikh militant portion and look at the number jump. 144, 812, 620. Only 9 others, and they're all from India. They're all from Bharat. So they very clearly say these are the numbers which have come from Bharat. So out of 812, 811 were from Bharat in 2022. Out of 620, 619 were from Bharat in 2023. So clearly it's just about 8 or 9 others who have come from some other nations. But most of these Sikh militants or Khalistanis, they have all come from Bharat, and they have come between 2021, 22 and 23 from the time the Jagmeet government started, or the Trudeau government started relying on the support from the NDP or Jagmeet Singh's party. So these are the numbers. This entire mail trail is present with us. It's documented, and it's come from the Canadian Immigration and Refugee Division. Phenomenal work and follow-up done by Bhupinder Azad. Let's go to our guests and get their reactions on this. Anand Ranganathan, author, scientist, political commentator with us. Jagmeet Singh Maan, activist. Terry Mileski with us. And Suresh Krishnamurthy of Board of Directors, Kohana Canada is also with us. My namaste to everybody. Thank you very much. Terry, if this isn't evidence, then what else is? The fact that the Trudeau-led establishment under pressure from Jagmeet Singh has thrown open its doors to wanted elements of India. People who had FIRs against them, people who had red corner notices against them, who have criminal backgrounds, they've all been allowed into the country and in huge numbers.
Well, these are striking figures, and I think that they will help India's argument in the current row over India's activities in Canada. For obvious reasons. The first thing that the Canadians will say, I suppose, officially, if they haven't already, about these, is that it all depends on how you define the character of these people. If, as you say, they are people who have criminal records, who are wanted for crimes in India, then we need to look very carefully at why and how the backlog of asylum seekers in Canada has grown so rapidly to the point where we now have 250,000 people in Canada who are sitting waiting an average of 44 months to get their papers processed to get asylum in Canada. I mentioned that number because it shows that we're not dealing with it. The system isn't working. Its job is to look at asylum seekers and say you're qualified, you're not. Second point I would make is that I commend to you an interview that Jagmeet Singh Maan did a couple of years ago, 2022, I guess,
yes.
Which he said that he was helping people who wanted to get access to enter into Canada or UK or the US. He would help them by selling them a nice little official-looking letter saying that they are persecuted members of his separatist party in Punjab, and that therefore if they didn't get asylum they would be sent back to India, they would be tortured in jail, and so forth. And he said that these letters had worked successfully in getting the bearers asylum in 50,000 cases over the years. And he's selling these letters at least 35,000 rupees.
Yes, 30,000 rupees, yes. So, he's on record saying that.
My point is that we have a system that is not working, and I'm quoting the Minister of Immigration, and he's putting it mildly, needless to say, and people are getting through in mysterious ways. Look at the person who started the row over India's activities in Canada. Nijjar. Jagmeet Singh Nijjar arrived, was thrown out because he came with fake passport.
Yes.
Came back again 11 days later. Now he had a Canadian wife. Well, they said that's phony. He was kicked out again. But somehow, and nobody knows how, he ended up with Canadian citizenship.
Terry, I just wanted to make one point as you complete your point, that this is a graph that's been sent by the Canadian immigration. It's by the RPD and it is titled, it's captioned, and I'm just going to bring the attention here. It says claims finalized by the RPD with militant in quotes or Sikh militant as claim type, and India as the first country of alleged persecution. So they have classified it ourselves. This is not a table that we have made. It has come from the Canadian authorities. They themselves know that these are militants or Sikh militants. So they clearly have FIRs and they have certain amount of complaints and criminal complaints and background. So the Canadian authorities are aware of this.
Yes, I accept what you're saying. I understand that. I'm just saying to you that this has to be, you put your finger on one of the key points. If there is to be any settlement of the current row about Nijjar's killing, then it has to involve an understanding between Canada and India on straightening out this system, which is so porous as to be absurd.
Jagmeet Maan is also with us. Jagmeet Maan.
Well, Anand, what do you say for Canada? You see, internal politics and the politics of coalition, the compulsions of coalition, if I may, have taken Canada to an extent when their official documents are releasing that they are actually giving citizenship to militants or slash Sikh militants. Well, let's read this as they have legitimized terrorists in their country. Now, these people, since they are Canadian citizens, should be addressed as Canadian terrorists or Canadian militants or Canadian Sikh militants, to be precise. And honestly, how I see it is that from my perspective, good riddance. And from the perspective of the law, we need to get them back, and we need to persecute these people who have FIRs pending against them, because they cannot be let scot-free, or they cannot be let free just because they filed a false claim and they have taken the citizenship of a different country. Now, well, being persecuted on the basis of religious minority or any other cause is one thing, but being persecuted for being a criminal or being a militant or being a terrorist is another. So, as nation states, when you call yourself a developed country, you call yourself a responsible nation, you need to differentiate between the two. Whether these people have been prosecuted because of religion, which I can assure you, no one after 1984 has been. And in 1984, it was a pogrom where Sikhs were killed, and there were people of the ruling party and the government who were involved in it, no doubt about it. But then again, after that, since last 41 years, there has been nothing of that sort. And most of these militants slash terrorists slash extremists or Khalistanis, quote unquote, have been born after 1984. So there is no question of them being persecuted. And like Terry Miliski was referring to, Simranjeet Singh Mann has been issuing letters on his letterhead, claiming them to be, or claiming certain people. I mean, certain people, when I say certain people who paid him 35, 40,000, 50,000 rupees. So that's when, that's a
and look at the numbers jump, Ramnik Man. 1,700 people between 2021 and 2023, nearly 1,700,
Well,
and add another 383 in 2024 till the 1st of October. These are
So,
all
Anand,
people.
that is
and
again,
how
like
does the
I
government,
started.
how does the Canadian authorities define them? They are saying when a claim is categorized as Sikh militants, this means that the claimant says they are in danger because they are or are believed to be members of or associated with a Sikh militant organization or group in their alleged country of persecution. So these
Name
people
one.
are declaring that they are Khalistanis. The authorities
Name one.
are after them. There are FIRs, cases registered against them, and the Canadian authorities are openly allowing these people, and they have a record of these people.
Well, this is, Anand, the dates coincide with Trudeau's arrangement with Jagmeet Singh.
Yes.
So this is very clear. This is very clear that coalition politics has brought down an entire nation down on its knees. And that's when, it's very important for people to give a clear mandate to whichever side they wish to. Not that I am, by any means favoring Pere Poliver, but again, this sort of space should not be given to, this kind of a space should not be given to militants and terrorists in any country.
Not just that. 98% of the Sikhs, Dr. Ranganathan, in our country have rejected this agenda. And is that lost on the Canadian authorities? 2,000 people in the last 3 or 4 years, Dr. Ranganathan, if you look at the number, roughly about 2,000 plus people are at the beck and call of Jagmeet Singh, and all these 2,000 people have folks back home here. We saw what 6 or 7 of them were able to unleash on the streets in Mumbai. These are 2,000 people who now will be at the beck and call of entities who can unleash whatever mayhem they want on this entire false narrative of separatism, etc., etc.
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to Alice. If at all there was clinching evidence, you have provided it. Congratulations to you and your entire team that Toronto is the new Tora Bora. And with due respect to Terry, who's wonderful, he's too much of a patriot to realize when he says that, look, the system in Canada is not working. I'm sorry, Terry, it's working spectacularly well, because this is how they want it to work. Trudeau wants it to work like this. What other, I mean, correlation and causation are not just terms in statistics. Out here, you see the coalition, we are used to this phrase called coalition dharma. Out here, you can see it in evidence, as Ramneek Paji said. I mean, the moment Jagmeet starts promoting and supporting Trudeau, you see the jump from 38. And these are, as Anand said, these are not militants categorized by us. These are militants categorized by you. And obviously, not any Tom, Dick and Harry will become a militant. He would have had to achieve, quote unquote, achieved some notoriety in order to be labeled so. The Canadians are calling them militants. I'm sure they've committed something worse than just how we associate militancy with, this rosy-eyed, tinted color of what Mandela was. No. In our country, militants are terrorists. We've suffered them for 40 years, 50 years in Jammu and Kashmir, in Punjab in the 80s. These are terrorists. These are not just militants. Canada might call them militants. Number two, it is absolutely important, Anand, you've said it. When you have 2,000 people who are militants, I would call them, Ramneek is calling them terrorists, in a haven. And I say Toronto is the Tora Bora. They are obviously planning things much worse than they could ever have planned in India. So can we just once and for all forget all our, as Terry kindly said, negotiation tactics with Canada as far as Niche? No, we don't need to negotiate with a terrorist state. We have to, your evidence has put in light absolute future associations with Canada. We've got to elevate, if that is the term we can use, Canada to the status of Pakistan. Zero negotiations with these guys. It's a terror state. I'm sorry.
Well, the same people for whom the Canadian administration bent over backwards over the last 3 years, admitting more than 2,000 people of questionable backgrounds, that same entity and that same person has now withdrawn support from Justin Trudeau and says, go. Just only 10 days ago, he said, I fully back you. Today, he says, I cannot back you. So, no, but at what cost? At damaging diplomatic ties with the world's largest democracy, at hurting trade ties, and also becoming a pariah and becoming an embarrassment to the world, that you are becoming an open haven for people of questionable backgrounds. Now, if you were to hire Canadian separatists like this and give them asylum in our country, what would Canada say? What would America say? What would the Five Eyes say? We've got more information, and this is also critical before I go bring in Patay Suresh Krishnamurthy. It's an exclusive investigation that blew the lid here at CNN News 18 when we did K-File Part 1 about the money trail between K extremists and Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party and also its backer or the coalition backer Jagmeet Singh's NDP. Kanishk bombing accused Ripudaman Singh and Inderjeet Singh donated to K backer Jagmeet Singh's NDP. The funding has been taking place since 2012. Moreover, Hardeep Sohota, a Canadian national linked with Khalistan Liberation Force or the KLF, has also funded actively and contributed to Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party. Jagmeet Singh and the New Democratic Party or the NDP began supporting Justin Trudeau's Liberal government in 2017 and kept it afloat with minority status, having a direct impact on strained ties with Bharat. However, Jagmeet Singh withdrew support in September 2024 as Trudeau's ratings were dipping in the opinion polls ahead of the 2025 general elections, and he's also called for his resignation now following the recent chaos in Canada post the Deputy Prime Minister's resignation over differences on the economic policy. But in 2017, Inderjeet Singh funded the NDP. Now, as per Canadian law, Canadian citizens are free to donate, contribute up to about $1,500 or $1,600. That's the maximum you can one-time contribution, but you can periodically contribute because it's well within their rights. But what we are trying to establish is that these are people with questionable background who are being backed by political entities who have a particular hold in Canadian polity, and they are influencing foreign policy, and they are sitting there using Canadian soil and their Canadian citizenship to orchestrate secessionist operations and movements in our country. That's why we are saying that this is a concern. Now, in August, this funding was $800. In 2019, we've got some of that data. See, this is June 2017, it is $400. I've got the pages of Inderjeet Singh. There you go. We have the numbers year after year, 2017, 2018, 2019, And in August, it was $800. In September, this funding had amounted to, I'm just going to go to $580, and the total funding stood at $2,980. Now, these are the numbers as of August 2017: $200, $400, $200, $400. So year after year, Inderjeet Singh has been seen supporting, backing these elements. Now, this is Ripudaman Singh. Ripudaman Singh has also contributed to the NDP, but Ripudaman Singh, this is in 2017, but later on in 2020-21, Ripudaman Singh actually turned around and reformed. He was killed. Ironically, Patte Suresh Krishnamurthy, Ripudaman Singh's death has not been questioned, raised at all by Justin Trudeau. But a month and a half later or soon after that, Hardeep Nijjar dies and he's been hailed as a martyr, and a lot of brouhaha has happened around it. Nobody has answered the question who killed Ripudaman Singh. Nobody has asked this question or answered who killed Karima Baloch. Nobody has asked this question or answered who killed some of the Chinese citizens who were present on Canadian soil.
So, namaste everyone. As part of Kona Canada, our focus is on the Hindu community in Canada. We stay out of politics. We don't comment on political issues. Politics is for the people of Canada to decide who they want as their next Prime Minister, when they want to have elections. What we are concerned about from a Kona's perspective is the ripple effect all of this is having on the Hindu community in Canada in general and in Toronto in particular. We have seen over the last 8 to 10 months an alarming rise in the number of attacks on various Hindu temples in the form of graffiti, in the form of other forms of demonstrations, violence, etc. On November 3rd, we had an incident at the Brampton Temple where a whole bunch of people holding what appeared to be Khalistan flags were shouting from the streets, and they were essentially creating a racket. Now, as the recent NCRI report has shown, narratives have the power of turning populations against groups of people, even if they are false, right? And what is now happening is we received a request from the CBC in Canada that asked us questions like, and I'm literally quoting the question. It says, some people are also accusing you of having close ties with the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party in India. They say people working with Kona have strong ties with Hindu far-right organizations. So the fallout from all of this is there is a narrative that is being built that any organization that advocates for the rights and safety of Hindus in Canada is somehow automatically a tool or a propaganda arm of the BJP, or they are associated with far right and so on. So this is a tactic that is increasingly being used to try and silence people who are simply advocating for their rights. Now, we take no political position. We don't support or oppose any political party or candidate. We advocate for the interest of Hindu Americans. But this advocacy is seen as so dangerous that somehow they want to kind of paint us as part of some political movement from India or somewhere else. What we have challenged CDC, and we have asked the question is, guys, you guys are just, making stuff up. You have absolutely no evidence. And nobody has ever produced any evidence that the Hindu community in Canada, especially Kona, has anything to do at all with any political party anywhere. But that seems to fall on deaf ears.
But aren't some of these elements who are coming after you, some of these K separatists and K backers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are open in their affiliation, and they somehow want to turn this. And my guess is they somehow want to turn this as any advocacy for Hindu Canadians is not any different from any advocacy for a separate Khalistan in India. They're trying to equalize the two and put them on the same level and say it's a he said, she said. It's two sides of the same coin. That's the narrative they want to build.
So
we reject that.
So no, not just rejecting that. What they're doing is they're using their Canadian citizenship, the freedom that the Canadian laws and the Constitution provide, and their position as an office to engineer, orchestrate a narrative and aspects which will hurt India. Now,
Absolutely.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
Canada now has to decide whether it wants to be an open field for elements such as these. I'm just going to pause for a bit. Let's take a comprehensive look at the startling facts that CNN News 18 via its member and integral part of the input desk, Bhupender Azad, have shared with us on the entire Canada K patronage saga. This is K Files Part 2.
Canada's soft spot for Khalistani sympathizers is an open secret. And it's not just limited to giving them a platform or turning a blind eye to their provocations. The Canadian government under Justin Trudeau has systematically been giving Khalistani elements shelter in the country. CNN News 18 has evidence of just how Khalistani elements have been given asylum in Canada since 2013, and this trend increased manifold after 2019. The year Trudeau saved his government by getting NDP's Jagmeet Singh on board. Your channel wrote to the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada seeking details of that disturbing trend in this month, and their response only confirmed our suspicion. Over the last 10 years, Canada has finalized 3,851 militant-linked asylum claims. As per the Canadian government, a Sikh militant is a claimant who says that they are in danger because they are members of or associated with a Sikh militant organization or group in their alleged country of persecution. In this case, these asylum seekers listed India as their country of persecution. From less than 100 cases before 2020 to 143 in 2021 and over 811 cases in 2022. The number claims finalized by the Refugee Protection Division went up by over 700% in the recent years.
These are not just numbers, these are facts. Facts that Canada cannot ignore. Over 3,800 asylum claims finalized with militant and Sikh militant connections, nearly all citing India as the persecutor. But we at CNN News 18 reveal an even darker truth. Individual tied to the 1985 Air India bombing, one of the worst terror attacks in history, donated money to Canadian political campaigns. How deep do these ties go? And what does this mean for Canada's claim of fighting extremism?
So why did so many Sikh militants get refuge in Canada? Was Trudeau and his ally benefiting financially? While there is no definitive link, documents accessed by CNN News 18 reveal that many Khalistani sympathizers have often donated to both the Liberal Party and the NDP. Financial records from the Elections Canada reveal donations made to Canadian political Jagmeet Singh by individuals tied in the 1985 Air India bombing, Ripudaman Singh Malik and Inderjeet Singh Riat. Inderjeet Singh Riat was the only terrorist convicted in the Air India Flight 182 bombing that killed 329 people in 1985. He has donated close to $3,000 to Jagmeet Singh's party. While Ripudaman Singh was killed in Canada in 2022, Inderjeet Singh Riat is now a free man in Canada. He's returned to normal life after spending 2 decades in prison. Despite his role in the deaths of over 300 innocent people, Riat was free in 2017, and since then he has been consistently donated to the NDP.
As Canada grapples with its diplomatic fallout with India, this revelation adds fuel to the fire. Over 3,800 asylum claims, growing extremist network, and now financial ties to politicians. Canada's PM Justin Trudeau may call this allegation, but the numbers tell a different story. A story Canada can no longer bury. This is Bhupender Azad for CNN News 18.
The big questions we ask here on The Right Stand. What was the criterion based on which the Canadian government offered asylum to suspect K militants? Can the Trudeau government explain the sudden spike in the number of approvals to suspect asylum seekers in 21, 22, 23 and also in 2024? Is there a link between the donations and asylum grants and Trudeau's ally in government? Do the donations and jump in asylum grants have any link with vote bank politics? Was Justin Trudeau government under pressure to grant asylum or entry to suspected K militants? And more importantly, did they know that these entities were going to work against the interests of another large democracy and a friend, that is Bharat? Some of the key takeaways of the investigation. Convicted K terrorist donation to party has been linked to Justin Trudeau. Full list of donations to ex-Trudeau's ally by wanted K terrorists is out there. Trudeau's government's actions have also come under scrutiny after donation revelations. There is a clear spike in asylum grant to K suspects, K militants after Jagmeet Trudeau pact. There is a 700% increase year on year in the number of asylums or entry granted to suspect Sikh militants or K militants. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, closer home, a war of words over Babasaheb Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar's legacy. The Prime Minister lists out the Congress's sins against Babasaheb Ambedkar.
बात जब अपने फैमिली के
He has announced his retirement. In fact, he's one of the greatest cricketers to have represented India. And finally, he's decided to draw curtains on his career after having taken over 700 wickets across the format. So that's the news coming in about Ravichandran Ashwin, who has announced retirement from international cricket. Let me go straight across now to CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan for more on this. Anand, good morning. So big news coming in. R. Ashwin bringing an end to his glorious international career. Give us a little bit more about, this big decision that he has taken. Was it coming? Are you surprised? Is it a stunning development?
Well, talk has been going on for a while, and he has been towards the sunset of his career for a while. And with the others coming into the play, Ashwin must have decided to call time on his career at a point where he believed that there was not much for him to add. Although we believe that he will continue to show his wares or fly his wares in the T20 format, that is IPL. Mm-hmm. But Ashwin for sure is someone that Indian cricket will sorely miss, because he has delivered and he has stood up for the country when it mattered most. And who can ever forget how we got our T20 World Cup victory again because of that presence of mind that he showed as a very, very sharp cricketer. A ball bowled outside his leg stump, and then he just stood out there and it was called a wide, and then driving the next ball up to a boundary and getting India that impossible victory was something which everybody watched, the minds that he used with respect to when we played Pakistan. But even in Test cricket, he has been Bharat's go-to guy, Team India's go-to guy at many points, and not just as a bowler but also as a batsman across the formats. He has come in lower down the order and stemmed the rut, and oftentimes pulled us out of a hole, and from a position of discomfort and position of disadvantage, taken us to a position from where we have eventually gone on to either save the test or even win it. So there are many, many classic, examples there. More importantly, Ashwin has always spoken his mind. He always believed that he was up for leadership at some point in his career. He also believed that he should be leading the side as a captain. He tried to lead sides and also prove his merit as a captain. But somehow, with injuries, also with him being a little too matter of fact and straight up in terms of talking with a straight bat, sometimes also could pay to some of his chances. But overall, he's come back. Whenever people have written him off, he has come back. Whenever people have thought that he will not be able to deliver, he has come back and stood up for the country. And oftentimes he's been called for duties, national duties, when he was actually playing List A or first class cricket, thinking that his career is over or he's not going to get called. But he has, and he had 700 plus international wickets in international cricket across the three formats. Many thought he would try and go up to 800 and try and get somewhere closer to Muttiah Muralidharan. Unfortunately, that's not true. But yes, across his first class career, he has more than 800 wickets across all formats of the game, and something that we should be very, very proud of. That the soon to be or just turned 38-year-old, he's about 38 years and 92 days as of now.
So he was towards the sunset of his career. India will fondly remember him every time, and with a lot of respect, because he brought a certain brevity, competitiveness, and also chutzpah, which few cricketers can bring. And he is not just a spinner. He was an all-rounder in the true sense, because he could do his bit with the bat, and oftentimes he's helped us. And everybody would see that after some of the Sri Lankan spinners, someone who mastered the carom ball and showed how it is done was also Ravichandran Ashwin.
He has announced his retirement. In fact, he's one of the greatest cricketers to have represented India. And finally, he's decided to draw curtains on his career after having taken over 700 wickets across the format. So that's the news coming in about Ravichandran Ashwin, who has announced retirement from international cricket. Let me go straight across now to CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan for more on this. Anand, good morning. So big news coming in.
Amid the Ambedkar face-off, Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes on the Congress on platform X. Now, earlier in the day, the Prime Minister stated, and I quote, "If the Congress and its rotten ecosystem think their malicious lies can hide their misdeeds of several years, especially their insult towards Dr. Ambedkar, they are gravely mistaken. The people of India have seen time and again how the one party, led by one dynasty, has indulged in every possible dirty trick to obliterate the legacy of Dr. Ambedkar and humiliate the SC/ST communities. The list of the Congress's sins towards Dr. Ambedkar includes getting him defeated in elections not once but twice, Pandit Nehru campaigning against him and making his loss a prestige issue, denying him a Bharat Ratna, denying his portrait a place of pride in Parliament Central Hall. Congress can try as they want, but they can't deny that the worst massacres against SC/ST communities have happened under their regimes. For years, they sat in power but did nothing substantive to empower the SC/ST communities. In Parliament, Home Minister exposed the Congress's dark history of insulting Dr. Ambedkar and ignoring the SC/ST communities. They are clearly stung and stunned by the facts he presented, which is why they are now indulging in theatrics. Sadly for them, people know the truth. It is due to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar that we are what we are. Our government has worked tirelessly to fulfill the vision of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar over the last decade, he said. Now, the historical facts on record show how Congress insulted Dr. Ambedkar. In 1952, Dr. Ambedkar lost to his ex-personal assistant and Congress candidate Narayan Sadoba Kajrolkar in Bombay North. Kajrolkar won by 15,000 votes and Ambedkar came fourth. In 1952, Nehru himself visited Mumbai twice to campaign against Dr. Ambedkar. Shripad Dange distributed pamphlets defaming the Dalit leader. 1954 by-election in Bhandara, Dr. Ambedkar defeated by the Congress nominee Bhaurao Borkar. Erstwhile Jansangh, now BJP, extended support to Dr. Ambedkar at that time. 1970, Congress awarded Padma Bhushan to Narayan Sadoba Kajrolkar. March 31st, 1990, Dr. Ambedkar posthumously conferred Bharat Ratna during the VP Singh government. April 12, 1990, Dr. Ambedkar's portrait unveiled in the Central Hall of Parliament by the then Prime Minister VP Singh. Why Dr. Ambedkar resigned from the Congress party? He quit from the Council of Ministers of Nehru on September 27, 1951, because Nehru didn't keep his promise of giving planning department to Ambedkar. He wasn't appointed to any committee of the Council of Ministers. Then Congress government was indifferent to the question of Dalits or their status, opposed Nehru's handling of the entire Jammu and Kashmir issue, disagreed with Nehru's faulty foreign policy as he predicted India would end up with more enemies than friends. He felt let down as Nehru didn't live up to his word on the Hindu Code Bill. Ambedkar criticized the Congress party, criticized Congress for neglecting lower castes, described the Congress as a dharmshala or a rest home, called the Congress a party lacking unity of purpose or principles, said the Congress was open to all including fools, knaves, friends, foes, communalists, secularists, reformers, orthodox, capitalists and anti-capitalists. And this is all recorded in history. Viewers, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, it's the Ambedkar face-off, even as the Home Minister lambasts the Congress party on twisting his words on the Ambedkar saga and his presentation in the Rajya Sabha. It was a long press conference by Amit Shah. Stay with us.
He has announced his retirement. In fact, he's one of the greatest cricketers to have represented India. And finally, he's decided to draw curtains on his career after having taken over 700 wickets across the format. So that's the news coming in about Ravichandran Ashwin, who has announced retirement from international cricket. Let me go straight across now to CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan for more on this. Anand, good morning. So big news coming in, R. Ashwin bringing an end to his glorious international career. Give us a little bit more about, this big decision that he has taken. Was it coming? Are you surprised? Is it a stunning development?
Well, talk has been going on for a while, and he has been towards the sunset of his career for a while. And with the others coming into the play, Ashwin must have decided to call time on his career at a point where he believed that there was not much for him to add. Although we believe that he will continue to show his wares or fly his wares in the T20 format, that is IPL.
Mm-hmm.
But Ashwin for sure is someone that Indian cricket will sorely miss, because he has delivered and he has stood up for the country when it mattered most. And who can ever forget how we got our T20 World Cup victory again because of that presence of mind that he showed as a very, very sharp cricketer. A ball bowled outside his leg stump, and then he just stood out there and it was called a wide, and then driving the next ball up to a boundary and getting India that impossible victory was something which everybody watched, the minds that he used with respect to when we played Pakistan. But even in Test cricket, he has been Bharat's go-to guy, Team India's go-to guy at many points, and not just as a bowler but also as a batsman across the formats. He has come in lower down the order and stemmed the rut, and oftentimes pulled us out of a hole, and from a position of discomfort and position of disadvantage, taken us to a position from where we have eventually gone on to either save the test or even win it. So there are many classic, examples there. More importantly, Ashwin has always spoken his mind. He always believed that he was up for leadership at some point in his career. He also believed that he should be leading the side as a captain. He tried to lead sides and also prove his merit as a captain. But somehow, with injuries, also with him being a little too matter of fact and straight up in terms of talking with a straight bat, sometimes also could pay to some of his chances. But overall, he's come back. Whenever people have written him off, he has come back. Whenever people have thought that he will not be able to deliver, he has come back and stood up for the country. And oftentimes he's been called for duties, national duties, when he was actually playing list A or first class cricket, thinking that his career is over or he's not going to get called. But he has, and he had 700 plus international wickets in international cricket across the three formats. Many thought he would try and go up to 800 and try and get somewhere closer to Muttiah Muralidharan. Unfortunately, that's not true. But yes, across his first class career, he has more than 800 wickets across all formats of the game, and something that we should be very, very proud of. That the soon to be or just turned 38-year-old, he's about 38 years and 92 days as of now. So he was towards the sunset of his career. India will fondly remember him every time, and with a lot of respect, because he brought a certain brevity, competitiveness, and also chutzpah, which few cricketers can bring. And he is not just a spinner. He was an all-rounder in the true sense, because he could do his bit with the bat, and oftentimes he's helped us. And everybody would say that after some of the Sri Lankan spinners, someone who mastered the carom ball and showed how it is done was also Ravichandran Ashwin.
He has announced his retirement. In fact, he's one of the greatest cricketers to have represented India. And finally, he's decided to draw curtains on his career after having taken over 700 wickets across the format. So that's the news coming in about Ravichandran Ashwin, who has announced retirement from international cricket. Let me go straight across now to CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan for more on this. Anand, good morning. So big news coming in. Ashwin bringing an end to his glorious international career. Give us a little bit more about, this big decision that he has taken. Was it coming? Are you surprised? Is it a stunning development?
Well, talk has been going on for a while, and he has been towards the sunset of his career for a while. And with the others coming into the play, Ashwin must have decided to call time on his career at a point where he believed that there was not much for him to add. Although we believe that he will continue to show his...
संसद में जब चर्चा हो रही थी, ये सिद्ध हो गया कि बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर का कांग्रेस ने किस तरह से पुरजोश विरोध किया था। कांग्रेस पार्टी ने जिस तरह से तथ्यों को तोड़ मरोड़ कर रखने का प्रयास किया है, ये अत्यंत निंदनीय है और मैं इसकी निंदा करना चाहता हूं। नेहरू जी की आंबेडकर जी के प्रति नफरत जग जाहिर है। खरगे जी को भी कहना चाहता हूं, खरगे साहब, आपका तो कम से कम दायित्व बनता है, क्योंकि आप उस वर्ग से आते हो जो वर्ग के लिए बाबा साहब आंबेडकर जी ने पूरा जीवन समर्पित किया। मुझे बड़ा दुख है कि आप भी राहुल गांधी जी के दबाव में इसके अंदर शामिल हुए हो।
So it's an all-out fight on the Ambedkar legacy, who helped, who hurt, who respected and who disrespected. Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the BJP with us. Sanket Yenagi, advocate with us. My namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much. Sanket Yenagi, the charge is that the Congress deliberately trying to distort what was said in Parliament and trying to claim or appropriate Ambedkar's legacy when in the past the Congress has actually disrespected and disregarded him. That's the charge against the Congress party.
Before commenting on what Congress or other parties are saying or as to what BJP is claiming, the videos are self-explanatory. The video clearly says and shows how the Home Minister is mocking by using or taking the name of Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar is a well-respected personality in the history of Indian independence and as much as subsequent to independence in framing of the Constitution. The constitutional makers are those who have dedicated their life for the upliftment of the downtrodden society and made it possible in India to have equality before law and equal protection before law. And those people, instead of being respected and being disrespected or mocked by the sitting Home Minister, is not acceptable to any civilized society. Today, the Home Minister may be in power or may be having the majority, yet he may be making such a ridiculous statement or mocking by taking the name of Dr. Ambedkar. But it's not a healthy debate or healthy attempt that was made.
Right.
So in any civilized society, irrespective of political affiliations, the way it was used, the way it was mocked in a parliamentary debate is not a healthy development at all, be it of any party, irrespective of whether he is a minister or he is in an opposition. But this is not acceptable. One should have the minimum courtesy to or the respect to those who have contributed for the welfare of the country and the Constitution.
Siddharth Yadav?
Anand, definitely. I think the respect that must be given to Baba Saheb Ambedkar must be given by all political parties and must be given in all the sense that must prevail. And that was the essence of the speech of the Honorable Home Minister. The Honorable Home Minister was highlighting and exposing the Congress's rule over the years, the Congress's hatred towards Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and that is what they could not digest. And that is the reason that now Congress party has come up with a clip katua, being a clip katua and coming out with a short clip and spreading lies about the Honorable Home Minister's statement. I think this is most unfortunate for a political party, and especially for the oldest political party of this country, to come out and do this propaganda and, trying to hide what the Congress party and the Gandhi family has been doing over years, not answering the questions that were asked, and trying to evade from the real essence of what the social justice in our country is. Why does not the Congress party answer that if Jawaharlal Nehru could have been given Bharat Ratna while he was alive, when Indira Gandhi could have been given Bharat Ratna when she was alive, when Rajiv Gandhi could have been given Bharat Ratna in 1991, why was Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar not given Bharat Ratna until 1990? What is the answer to that? Why is it not Congress party's prerogative to come out and answer that when Jawaharlal Nehru, had written a letter to his ministers that even if Baba Sahib Ambedkar leaves the cabinet, it's going to cause no harm? The Congress party had not even recommended his name in the 296 members who were designated to draft the constitution of this country. So many questions, so many pertinent questions were asked in the constructive debate that happened in the parliament. But the entire takeaway for Congress party is to come out with a propaganda debate clip. Propaganda clip to spread fake lies about the Honorable Home Minister. It is the country today which is asking serious questions from the Congress party. The Congress party has historically demeaned the Indian Constitution, has historically demeaned Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. It was Jawaharlal Nehru who went down himself to ensure that Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar doesn't win the election. It was Jawaharlal Nehru, and the questions has to be asked. Anand,
right.
How is it that the margin of Baba Sahib Ambedkar when he lost the election, there were more votes disqualified in that election? No answers till date. 75 years. No respect given to Baba Sahib Ambedkar. No memorial made for Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Gandhi family can make all the memorials for the Gandhi family, for all their leader, all family members. Nothing for Baba Sahib Ambedkar. I think it is the pain that they have seen, that it is the Bharatiya Janata Party under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which has come out and given due respect to our great stalwarts. They cannot digest this. And when they cannot digest this,
right.
They come out with propaganda. This is most unfortunate.
Sanket Yanagi, yes.
Assume for the sake of argument, Congress or any other party still owe due to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Does it in any way empower the sitting Home Minister to make mockery of Dr. Ambedkar on the floor of the House? Is the question which the BJP has to answer. BJP may hold several press conferences and say and spread out several messages over the social media and certain TV channels also and say, justify the statement as if it is respect given to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. But the tone and the tenor, the facial expression and the body language explains everything. You cannot override override that is already acceptable, already recorded, and it is visible to the common man. Is it a respectful attitude or approach of the Home Minister that the people will judge? And in my opinion, this was not expected and most uncalled for, especially for the Home Minister of the country. That's it.
Siddharth Yadav.
Anand, let me respond to that. Anand, I do not understand what is the disrespect that my friend is quoting here. What is the disrespect? The Honorable Home Minister said कि जो लोग अंबेडकर 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 कहते हैं, उनने अगर ईश्वर का इतना नाम लिया होता, exposing them, तो उनको मुक्ति मिल गई होती. And then he continues and he says कि हमें तो अच्छा लगा कि अंबेडकर जी का इतना नाम लेते हैं, पर उनके विचारों पर भी काम करना चाहिए. Should I expose the Congress party now? The president of the Congress party, Mallikarjun Kharge, on the same floor of the House, said this, and I'm playing the clip of the debate.
जी के खिलाफ थे कि अंबेडकर नेहरू जी के खिलाफ थे, वो पटेल भी था उसके साथ थे, अंबेडकर उनके साथ थे.
अंबेडकर उनके साथ थे, अंबेडकर नेहरू जी के खिलाफ थे, अंबेडकर पटेल के साथ थे. Is this the disrespect that you are talking about? It is the principles of Baba Sahib Ambedkar that you need to follow. Questions have been asked. The Congress party is evading from those tough questions. The Congress party is evading from answering the historical questions that have been posed against us. The people of this country are asking, Anand, what is this propaganda? Why this propaganda? Come on, hard facts. I have quoted you so many facts. The Honorable Home Minister in his speech has given so many facts on what the Congress party has done over the years. Why no answer about it? Why no answer about it? Only a 10-second propaganda video. this is not how the Indian politics or the Indian democracy is going to flourish. This is not the way political parties function, but the people are going to answer. This is the same thing that they did during Lok Sabha polls. The people answered. This is what they tried during Haryana and Maharashtra. The people answered. The people of this country are going to answer Congress party and the entire opposition who are trying to do this propaganda because they have nothing more left in their bag. This is the only move that they can make.
Yes, Sanket Yanagi.
For the downtrodden society and those who have suffered inequalities over several centuries, Dr. Ambedkar was a god, and even now they believe that he is the god who has shown them the light of the day. And they consider Dr. Ambedkar as their Ishwar. And someone saying that instead of chanting the name of Dr. Ambedkar, if they had taken the name of Ishwar, then they would have something God in retaliation, he said. Is it not an insult to those people and sentiments of those people who believe Dr. Ambedkar as their Ishwar, as their God, and as someone who has shown them the light? So, in my opinion, the more they dig, they are digging their own grave. Instead, at least let them realize the blunder they have committed, seek an apology. The people of India and the country are more magnificent people we have. They can forget it if they seek an apology. If they don't, then it is going to be
are you saying that the Congress will apologize for opposing Dr. Ambedkar?
That's not the question here.
The point is, sir, as of January 2024, there was an article written by Sudhindra Kulkarni, which was endorsed by many members of the Congress party, which said that that those who are saying crediting Ambedkar for the constitution are wrong, and they should understand that it was Nehru. And there is more that was written in that article, and which was criticized for spreading canards, but it was openly endorsed by Congress members, and it's on record. It's been posted on X by so many members. So my point is, sir, will the Congress party apologize for the fact that political insecurities and political differences led to disrespect, marginalizing so many important contributors towards Bharat's shape and the way it is today? So many people who gave their blood, sweat and toil towards championing, shaping and also trying to model a Bharat that was envisaged at the time of our creation as an independent sovereign entity in 1947.
Assuming for a moment that Congress has committed a blunder for the sake of argument, does it empower the BJP to do the same?
No, but
does it empower them to commit the same?
No, Sanket, the Home Minister. Sir, I would just like to implore upon your intelligence and your wisdom to understand that the Home Minister qualified before he said Ambedkar. He said, "Aajkal ek fashion chala hua hai." Some people have made it politically fashionable to chant the name of Ambedkar, is what he said, without even doing anything. It's good. Had you chanted the name of God so much, you would have gotten some benefit out of it, because it is good. And then he qualified it. At that time, Mr. Kharge had stood there up and he said, "Rukiye, understand, let me complete my statement. You people are doing it, but have you actually done anything rather than chanting? Or are you just being political opportunists today because the SC, ST, the Dalits have become a very strong and important vote bank in the political landscape?" That's the question the Home Minister asked, sir.
Yes.
So did the Congress actually put it out in whole? No, or are they guilty of trying to distort the version and push out a separate narrative?
Let me answer this
question. So who should apologize?
Mr. Anand, this may be your statement or the statement of CNN News 18. But the tone and the tenor and the body language of the Home Minister, does it match with it or tally with it? Is the question the people are observing. I do not want to say anything about that. But the people are more intelligent in India. They observe every attitude, every approach as to how the downtrodden society has been treated, number one. Especially in the recent 10-11 years. And subsequent to that, several incidents have been reported as to how they have been treated. Number two. Number three, how the incident is being justified despite that it is clearly visible to the common man. Number 3. Number 4, assuming for a moment that Congress has done blunder
Right.
in not
I've got
giving
a
the
one.
due respect, without giving the due respect, does it enable the BJP to perpetuate that mistake?
No, sir, I have to wind up for the moment, but it is very clear who tried to distort, who was trying to put out the facts, and who has been caught in trying to gloss over what has happened in the past. The legacy of the past continues to haunt us in the present, and it will also perhaps influence the future. I have to wind up on that note. Zaka Jacob ready with brass tacks. Thank you.
It presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio presented by Green Lamb Laminates. In fact, we've got a piece of breaking story that is coming right at the top of the show. The special representatives of India and China have just met in Beijing. It's the first time in 5 years that they have met. Certainly the first time after the Galwan clashes, and now what is seemingly the normalization of ties. We have that piece of breaking news. 6 points of agreement have been arrived at between the two special representatives. That's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval of India and Wang Yi, the State Councillor of China. We'll get to that breaking story in just 1 second. An official press release has now been put out as well. Manoj Gupta has more details on this. We'll try and go across to that. The 6 points of agreement between India and China after the meeting.